Oh, we're ready? Okay, good. Awesome. Hey, guys. This is Yvonne Lemon, your National Sales Director, and I am so excited to do our first Google Hangout of 2017. And the theme is I'm all in. And what I want to talk to you about over the next 15, 20 minutes is how to invite guests to events. We've got a lot of great things coming up in February and actually for the last 5.5 months of the year. And I want you to be taking advantage of these opportunities and putting your guests, your customers, your prospects in front of national sales directors, especially myself and the nationals that I'm bringing in. So we've got some great events here planned in the Houston area, and I've also got some great events planned in the Austin area. And for those of you that are outside of those areas, this is just some really good information to help you with your scripts and developing your skill and inviting guests to events. So I'm sitting here at a cafe shop with one of my sales directors, Alyssa Smith. And so we're going to go through some of my bullet points today. And I want you to take some time to watch this video. Not just once. Did you see her? She just walked right by me. There she is. Right back there. So here we go. All right. So why do you want to team build? Let's talk about that. Well, first of all, I want you to think about that. If I had never signed up to do Mary Kay, you probably would not be here. Think about the person that recruited you into the business. And I know when I started my business in 1996 and I didn't team build for 5 years, I was doing Mary Kay by myself. But in 2002, when I started my business and I decided I was going to build a team and team build, then I was doing Mary Kay with a team. And when you do Mary Kay with a team, there's a lot more satisfaction in your journey in Mary Kay, as well as a lot more joy because you're seeing the difference that you're making in other people's lives. Not to mention the extra income that comes in when you're building a team. You know, Mary Kay Ash wanted us to take advantage of both avenues of income. She wanted us to sell the product and make 50% commission, and she wanted us to build a team so that the company could pay us those commission checks. So I want you to think just for a second. If you thought, well, why would I want to team build? I don't want to be a director. I don't want to have team members. Why wouldn't you? I mean, the whole mission statement of enriching women's lives and changing women's lives with this opportunity comes through team building. So, you know, maybe your aspirations in the next 6 months are to earn a car. That's team building. Maybe it is to become a sales director. That's team building. Maybe it's to become a red jacket. That takes team building. But even through the process of team building, you learn a lot, not just about how you're going to be able to enrich other women's lives, but you learn a lot about yourself. I mean, it's one thing to have this people skill with customers. It's another thing to have the people skill with leading a team and moving into a leadership position. And what I love about Mary Kay is that you're never by yourself. You still have your sales director. You still have your national sales director to help you motivate, inspire, and train those team members. So there's money. There's just more job satisfaction when you're running with people. And then think about the impact. Think about, you could be the next national sales director. It all starts with one person. Because my recruiter, Carol Messick, shared Mary Kay with me, and to this day, she's still my recruiter. She's actually a team leader. I'm one of her 5 team members. I became a national sales director, and our area now has over 3,000 beauty consultants in it. I mean, all the women and men whose lives have been changed because she shared the opportunity with one person. She never became a sales director. That wasn't her goal, but she did change my life. So think about that. It's a gift. It truly is. If you were giving a gift to someone, I just got this awesome gift from Melissa for my birthday, which was yesterday. And it's like offering someone a gift. That's exactly what you're doing when you offer the opportunity. You're offering them a gift. What they do with it, it's totally up to them. So when you think about why do I want to team build, I want you to think about those points. The other thing I want to mention is that February 4th, we have a huge guest event here with National Sales Director Jeannie Martin. Now, we're all new to the Diamond Seminar, and she came from the Pearl Seminar, and she's an absolutely phenomenal trainer, speaker. You've got to hear her story. This is a woman that was a full-time teacher, and if I remember, she was even Teacher of the Year in the city of Chicago. And while she was working a full-time job as a teacher, she became a top director in Mary Kay, and soon after that became a national sales director because she had a deadline. She had an age deadline. But she's motivational, she's amazing, she's fun, she's a great trainer. So you're not going to want to miss this guest event. So I want to talk a little bit about the guest events that are coming up in Austin and in the Houston area. Now, my wish, my preference, my want is that you have guests to these guest events. So I want you to buy your ticket for the guest event and then work on getting the guest. See, part of the mental game of getting a guest to an event is making the mental decision that you're going to be there no matter what, and buying the ticket and then finding the guest. See, that is a successful way of thinking when it comes to inviting guests to events. The opposite is, well, let me see if I find a guest and then I'll buy a ticket. Do you see the difference in the thinking there? The first vein of thinking is, I'm going to buy my ticket and doggone it, I'm getting a guest, right? The other vein of thinking is, well, I'll see if I get a guest and then I'll buy my ticket, okay? I got to say this. When you put your money on something, you're going to make sure it happens. I mean, you just are. So I want you to be there no matter what, whether you have a guest or not. I want you to be all in with the guest events, okay? Because the directors take time to put this together. I take time to put this together. And you never know when you're going to hear something at one of these events on Saturday that's just going to light a spark in you and really help you turn, you know, a new leaf on your Mary Kay business. But of course I want you to have guests there. So let's talk about the dynamics of that, okay? The other things that you have guest events for is you also have your unit meeting, which is a guest event. And then I know many of my sales directors do guest events on Saturdays. You have opportunities to plug people into those events if they're different training centers. Austin, I'm coming to you at least 3 times over the next couple of months. And National Sales Director Vicki Oth and I are going to be doing a guest event together. So even if you're not local, you still have your unit meeting, you still have your Saturday events, you still have all of those things. And I don't want you to miss that opportunity to build your team over the next few months. Okay, so how to invite a guest to an event. First of all, you have to have a goal of how many guests you want to have on a weekly basis. Wow, I started my business. Thank you. I started my business over again in 2001, and I never went anywhere by myself. I went to every unit meeting with a guest. I went to every skincare class with a team member that was shadowing me. I had 3 skincare classes on my books every week. I had muffin and makeovers every Saturday morning that I had guests plugged into. I had a personal goal to have 5 guests every week to an event. That's a total of 20 people coming to events and hearing the marketing information. I want to encourage you to have multiple guests at events, not just one, but bringing multiple guests to the Saturday events that I'm hosting, as well as the ones that your sales director does and unit meetings. Now, a common concern that I hear about that is, well, what if I have 5 guests? How am I going to take care of all of my guests? Well, first of all, if you have 5 guests, okay, that's your sales director is going to be super excited. I'm going to be super excited. And I'm sure there's going to be people there with no guests that can help you take care of your guests. So if you're at a guest event and you don't have any guests, look around and say, how can I make a guest feel welcome? How can I help somebody else who has a guest, assisting them with their guest? Wouldn't you agree that part of the reason why people join the FIRE area or your personal unit is because they feel a sense of camaraderie, they feel welcome, they feel like, wow, the women here are so nice, right? So, you know, it is a team effort to make that guest feel welcome. So my goal when I was building my business was 5 guests a week. You have to set your own goal for that. But if you want to move quick, you've got to think bigger. You've got to do more. You've got to actually turn the switch and say, you know what? This 1 guest a week is not cutting it. I've got to up the ante here. So bringing multiple guests to events and taking advantage of your unit meeting, which is a guest event. The second thing is to have a script, to have a deadline, and to have a gift for the person that you're inviting. So you have to have a script. We talked a while back about a script, and I wonder if I can put this on. Yes, we'll type it up. We have a great booking script that my Woodlands team shared with us. I can't remember which event it was. Oh, is it January Jumpstart? And it's such a great booking script. I'm going to read it to you, but we're going to put this on my website, or we'll put it on the Facebook fan page so that you already have it. But here's what it says. This is the booking script. Hi, Susie, it's Sally. Susie, Sally. Hi, Susie, it's Sally. I'm so excited to connect with you. I'm not sure if I've ever shared my dream of earning a free car, staying at home with my kids, retiring my husband, fill in the blank, with you. To help make that dream a reality, I've decided to become a skincare specialist or move into leadership with Mary Kay. I'm really excited and a little nervous to ask you, but is there any reason why you couldn't help me grow my confidence by letting me borrow your face? I promise to give it back, even more fabulous than it already is. Then you book her into the event or the skincare class or whatever you're doing. So we'll type this up. I'll put it on the Facebook fan page. But you've got to have a script and you've got to have a deadline, okay? So you've got to say something like, I have a goal this week of 5 guests to events, and I have to have it done by the end of this week. Because we don't want them booking out months and months in advance. We want them booking in tight is what we call it. And the other thing you need to offer her is a gift. So what are you going to give her for her time for coming to the event? I love to give product. I like to give, whatever it takes. I mean, if it's $50 in free product just to get her to come to a unit meeting, I'll do it, right? So think about what do I have on my shelf? What is something that would entice her to come to a Saturday morning event? But you've got to have a gift. Can you? I know. You see that guy in the green hair way over there. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
All right. So you've got a goal. You've got a script. The next thing is you've got to coach your guest on a few things. And this is super important, okay? I want you to remember the first time you walked into a Mary Kay event and there was a room full of women looking absolutely fabulous, dressed to the nines, all happy and excited, full makeup on, hair, makeup, nails, jewelry, and everything. It's a pretty intimidating environment if you're not in Mary Kay. So it's important that you coach your guest on what to expect. So the first thing that I really want you to coach her on is the time frame of the event. There's nothing more frustrating for your sales director or your national sales director when the guest says, oh, I didn't realize this was going to take 2 hours. I have to leave. And she bolts for the door before we get a chance to meet her, establish rapport, get her information, or anything like that. Most guest events are 2 hours. You think about your unit meeting is from 6:30 to 8:30. You think about our guest events on Saturdays, they're from 9 to 11. So coach her that it's a 2-hour commitment and that it flies by. Like the whole morning will fly by and she'll leave feeling absolutely fabulous and looking fabulous at that. So the other thing is to coach her on what to expect. So I like to romance the appointment. If I have a guest for a Saturday event and we have a big event this Saturday, I'm going to say to her, oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to have your Mary Kay experience. I call it an experience. And we're going to do a skincare analysis and a facial peel. We're going to do a perfect foundation match. We're going to give you a complete color makeover before you leave. You're going to leave feeling absolutely fabulous. It's totally complimentary. I can't wait to pamper you. So the whole thing is using adjectives that really sell the appointment, okay? And describing what we're going to do, right? And the last thing I want to coach her on is what to wear, and also that she can't bring anybody under the age of 18. So this is how I say that. Everybody that comes has to be 18 years or older. So if you want to bring a friend with you, just make sure they're over the age of 18 or older. So that basically says no children, right? And the reason for that is a lot of our training centers are not insured to have kids there, right? And we know that this is a time for her to get pampered and with really no distractions. The other thing I'm going to coach her on is what to wear. So how do I coach her on what to wear? I tell her what I'm going to wear. I think most women want to know what the attire is. And so I think we get hung up on, well, if I tell her she has to wear a dress or a skirt, she's not going to come. Well, nobody said she had to wear a dress or a skirt, right? I mean, but you let her know what you're going to be wearing. So how I'll say that to my guests is that, hey, by the way, I will be dressed in professional attire because I am leading part of the class, you know, or if you're not leading part of the class, you can say, hey, I will be dressed in professional attire. Mary Kay does ask us to wear a dress or a skirt because I am growing into a leadership position. And so that basically says, this is what I'm wearing. You wear what you're comfortable with. If she says, well, does that mean I have to wear a dress or a skirt? You say, well, no, absolutely not. I just want you to be comfortable when you arrive. And that's what the leadership team will be wearing. So if you've got some cute pants you want to wear, you know, totally fine, totally fine. I don't require them to wear a dress or a skirt, but I do want them to know that Mary Kay consultants and the leadership team will be wearing a dress or a skirt. Definitely don't want her showing up, you know, and yoga pants and seeing everybody there all dressed up to the nines. What's going to happen is she'll immediately shut down and she won't hear anything that we're saying because she's too self-conscious. I really want you to think about how she feels when she's sitting at that table and there's all these very important people running around, dressed, looking fabulous. It can be extremely intimidating. Okay. All right. So you have a goal, you have a script, deadline, goal, you're giving her a gift, you've given her a time frame, what to expect, what to wear. You're telling her everybody has to be over the age of 18 or older. Now you're going to share the information with your sales director. It's so important that you give your sales director the name of your guest and her cell phone number before the event so that your sales director can call her and welcome her, confirm her, introduce herself, and start establishing rapport with your guest. Y'all, your sales director, she's your number one balcony person. When I was moving up in Mary Kay 15 years ago, I needed my sales director. I called her after every appointment. She coached me before an appointment. She coached me after an appointment. There was a high level of respect and a high level of trust. And so I knew that if any of my prospects or new team members had a conversation with my sales director, I was 100% confident that when they got off the phone with her, they were going to feel like $1,000,000, whether or not they signed up. And I can promise you that the directors in my area will do the same because I know them and I know their heart. I know their level of professionalism. And I know that a guest may sometimes say no for now, but they may come back later. So we always want to make people feel like $1,000,000, whether or not they sign. But you've got to give your sales director the names of your guests and their phone numbers so that she can call them and say, oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet you. I've heard that you are Susie's guest for Monday night or Susie's guest for Saturday morning, and I'm looking so forward to meeting you. Did she tell you where it was? Did she tell you what time it's going to start? She's going to have a gift for you too, and tell me a little bit about yourself. It really helps the director start to establish rapport because remember that director, when she walks into that event, is going to be dressed in a suit, and already that's intimidating. Okay, so it helps us break the ice. All right. So whether she's going to be a hostess, a recruit, or a customer for you, it helps us establish that relationship. So you've got to get that list to her at least 2 to 3 days before the event. Okay. And directors, when your people give you those names and phone numbers, I know you're going to call them no less than 24 hours before the event, right? Because that's our obligation. I know as your national sales director and as a sales director of a personal unit that oftentimes you go through a lot of no's just to get that one yes, to get that guest there. And I do not take that lightly at all. I consider that a huge responsibility. So when you have a guest there or when you've gotten a yes from a guest, I can promise you that I'm going to follow up with that guest and I'm going to call that guest, okay? Because I know how many no's you had to go through to get that yes, right? So make sure that you share that with your director. Now, this is super important. I can't tell you how many times I hear a consultant say, I invited all of these guests to the Saturday event and nobody showed up. Well, I invited her and she said she was going to be here and she didn't show up. Do you know that there is a solution to that? There is actually a 100% foolproof way to guarantee, it's a 100% guarantee to make sure your guests show up at every single event. Do you want to know what it is? Pick them up. I promise you that if you pick your guest up and bring her to the Saturday event, that there's a 100% chance that your guest will be there. Right, Alyssa? 100% chance.
Yeah.
Right, because you picked her up. So part of inviting a guest to an event is eliminating all the excuses that could possibly come up why she can't be there, okay? And one of those excuses is, I don't feel like driving over there. I'm so tired. It's Saturday morning, You can eliminate that excuse. You can eliminate that obstacle by running by her house and picking her up. Okay. So I'm now going to get on my soapbox of success is inconvenient. Okay. It really is. It truly is inconvenient. I'm moving over to soapbox. Okay. The soapbox is over there. Okay. So, we're not even drinking. We're drinking coffee. Okay. We're high on caffeine right now. But, so when I was building my team, okay, and I was a DIQ for 2 months, and every one of those months that I was a DIQ, my team did 20,000 wholesale. So listen to me and how this happened. our guest events were every Saturday morning. Joanne Barnes was the national sales director. I was a red jacket. And the breakfast started at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning down at the Sheraton in the Galleria. I would have my mom watch my son, who at that time was a few months old. I would go and pick my guest up at 7:30, sometimes 7 o'clock, depending on what part of Houston she lived in. Bring her to the guest event with me. Do the guest event. She would always sign up because it was just a fabulous guest event. And then take her home, you know, as a new consultant. So was it inconvenient? Absolutely. It was totally inconvenient. I had the babysitter. I had to line up all these things, confirming the guests. It was totally inconvenient, especially since it was 8 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, I had to pick up my guest at 7. Was it worth it? Yeah, it was totally worth it. You've got to pick the guest up. If you can meet her somewhere, that's great too. But my preference is that you pick them up, right? There's been times I picked up multiple guests. You know, I was like a before I even had a free Mary Kay car. I was like a taxi. I pick up this guest, pick up all these guests and take them all to the event. I said, no, I want to pick you up. And this is what I said. No, I want to come get you. I can't wait, you know, to have some time with you to get to know you better. You know, little did she know she'd get in the car and there'd be like 3 other people in there that I was getting to know better, right? But I tell you, it works. Pick your guests up, okay? All right, so now you picked your guest up, okay? Now we are on the way to the guest event. There's 2 things that consultants sometimes struggle with. What do I say on the way to the guest event? She's in my car. And then what do I say on the way home from the guest event in the car? And this is important because I want to coach you on some things on what to say and what not to say, okay? So on the way to the guest event, she's sitting in your car, right? And the best thing that you can do is ask her about herself. Ask her questions that really are open-ended questions, the who, what, when, where, how, so you can get to know your guests better. A great opener, if you aren't good at just conversation on the spot, and it's kind of awkward, is tell me what keeps you busy. Let her go into her work, her kids, her husband, how did they meet? You know, tell me about your kids. What are they involved in? Tell me about what you do full time. What'd you do before that? If you were a stay-at-home mom, what'd you do? Just become a reporter and get to know your guest. You know how many women never get heard? Nobody cares anything about what they're doing, what they did. You know, get to know her. Don't make it all about me. If you're talking too much, you're talking way too much. You've got to turn it around and ask her questions. So you want to find out her life. I mean, let's say on the way to the guest event, she's involved in all these things. She's bunco and she's the soccer mom and she's busy at her church and she works full time. And think about all the opportunities for her to build her customer base because she's involved in so many circles. She might even tell you about her finances. She might tell you what's going on with her marriage. She might tell you what's going on with her kids. You know, you want to be that person. I always say we're the bartender or the hairdresser. People tell us their entire life story, right? So she comes to the guest event. Let's say that now it's time to leave. Before you leave the guest event, this is super important, please take your guest to meet your sales director before you leave. Now, if you are one of those consultants that came to the guest event to get inspired, okay? Now I want you to come to the guest event with guests, but I also want you to come to the guest events without guests because it's a chance for you to get inspired. But let's say you are one of those consultants at the guest event who didn't have a guest that day, okay? I'm going to ask you to please let the sales director talk with the guests first and the consultants that have guests, okay? Just because the guest is on a time frame and has got to run out the door or whatever, that director wants to get to that guest immediately. And this is true for any event. Your unit meetings, your Saturday events, the guest events that I do. I know for me, when I do a Saturday guest event, the first person I want to talk to are the guests and then the consultants with guests, right? And then after that, I'll stick around and take as many pictures as you want me to. Just let me make a beeline for the guest, okay? Because again, I have to remind myself, how many no's did that consultant have to go through to get that one guest there or there's several guests there, okay? But you won't even have to go through that many no's if you use this script that we're going to share on the Facebook page in just a little bit. So now she's met your director, okay? Your director has tried to get a decision if Mary Kay is for her or isn't for her. But the director's going to look at her and say, I'm going to call you tomorrow. I'm going to follow up with you. If she signed, she's definitely going to follow up with her. If she didn't sign, she's definitely going to follow up with her. And so now you can leave and you can take your guest home. So now begins that ride home. And if she signed, it's going to be an awesome ride home. You're going to be so excited. She's going to be excited. She's going to be asking all these questions about Mary Kay. You're going to be telling her all this stuff about Mary Kay. There are some things I do want you to talk about. There are some things I don't want you to talk about. Okay, so if she signs, what do I want you to talk about? I want you to talk about her why. Why is she doing Mary Kay? What are her dreams? What is she going to do with the first couple $100s that she gets in from her Mary Kay business? Who might be her first potential customers? Let's start making a list. Let's go through your phone. Let's go ahead and plan your debut. These all about her. These are the things I want you to talk to her about on the card. The things I don't want you to talk to her about, these are the things we're going to leave to your sales director, are inventory, her training, okay? ProPay, all of those nuts and bolts and things that aren't fun and dreamy, okay? I want you to talk about the dreamy stuff with her. I want you to leave all the systems and all the inventory and all of that stuff to your sales director, okay? This is so important because a lot of times, and excuse the phrase, on the way home, all we want to do is vomit Mary Kay all over them. Okay, well, you got to do this, and you got to place an order every 3 months, and then you go inactive, and if you don't, then this happens, and and it's information overload. We want her to leave there still feeling inspired, not feeling overwhelmed, feeling inspired. There's a difference. Okay, so talk about her dreams, talk about her why, coming up with her customer list. Those are some great things to talk about. The other scenario that could happen is that she didn't sign and now you're going home, okay? And so what are you going to talk about then? Well, this is a great time for you to get some practice in. So you might say to her, you know what, I really need to practice. I know you heard everything about the company today, so tell me what impressed you the most. And start letting her talk about the things that surprised her, impressed her the most. Or you might ask her, well, what would be some of your concerns about starting a Mary Kay business? Do not get in an argument. Do not defend in any way. Just listen. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see how that, use the feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Use it as a time to practice what impressed you the most. Who did you relate to the most? Y'all should be writing these down. What impressed you the most? Who did you relate to the most? What would concern you about getting started? If you were to get started, what do you think you would want to earn? I'm sorry. Yeah. What would you be most excited about? What do you think your husband would think? What do you think your kids would think about doing Mary Kay? So open-ended questions again that help you practice. Okay. And of course, make sure that she leads with a marketing packet. So when you drop her off, you're giving her a gift and you're giving her additional information about Mary Kay. So guest events are an extremely effective way to build your team. They appeal to all personality styles. The D, the I, the S, and the C. They appeal to the dominant personality style because they get to see all the sales directors lined up there telling their name and what they did before Mary Kay. Remember, those Ds want to know about advancement, so they're seeing the national sales director, they're seeing the paychecks, they're seeing the backgrounds of the sales directors, and that impresses them. So Ds, even though you think, oh no, D's not going to like the guest event because there's too much rah-rah, they quietly, silently do like it. They'll never admit it, but they do like it. The I's love the guest event because it's fun, there's free stuff, it's loud, there's music. I mean, that's totally up their alley. They love the girlfriend atmosphere of the guest event. The S's love the guest event too because when they see the sales directors come up there and they see that they can relate to other women in that lineup, such as stay-at-home moms, such as teachers and things like that, it becomes more relatable to them that, hey, maybe I could do this. Especially when the sales directors get up there and talk about what is the one thing that would have held you back. A lot of S's will sit there and go, wow, that's holding me back too. I'm too shy, or I don't know if I could sell things. And they get to try the product, so that builds more credibility, and it helps sell them more on the Mary Kay opportunity. And then the C's like the event because there's facts. There's facts about the product. There's facts about the company. It shows a proven career path, right? So It appeals to all personality styles. But one thing you need to know also about a guest event is that it is just one layering tool. See, recruiting happens on all different areas. It happens in your skincare class. It happens at your one-on-one interviews. It happens when somebody watches a YouTube video about the Mary Kay opportunity. You're just handing them a brochure. And it definitely happens at a guest event. So the percentage of guest signing is always higher at a guest event because it encompasses the entire Mary Kay sisterhood, what our company philosophy is about, so that you're always going to have a higher rate of signing up at a guest event. But if they don't sign up at a guest event, just know on your layering chart, you can get that on my website, YvonneLemon.com, you can get it on Mary Kay In Touch. That's just one check on the layering chart. If you have not sat down with them for coffee after that, that might be something you need to do, or take them to a unit meeting, or go through a recruiting notebook with them. Just remember, if they're saying no for now, that doesn't mean no forever. It just means not right now. And I always ask permission to revisit them about the Mary Kay opportunity should their circumstances change, financially, personally, any of those things, financially, personally, if their circumstances change. So all of that to be said on how to invite a guest to an event. We have a lot coming up over the next 5.5 months. So I want to encourage you to take advantage of all of these. I mean, I want you to buy your ticket and make the commitment that you're going to be there, not just with one guest, but 2, 3, 4, 5 guests. You know, I remember having a unit meeting, and my unit meetings were always in the Galleria. And one Monday night, I think it was Columbus Day or something like that, people didn't have work. I had 4 guests there at the Monday night unit meeting. And every one of them signed. Neither one of them knew each other. I just invited 4 people from different pockets of my life. All of them signed up that night. Use your unit meetings as a way to build your business. Because here's the thing. If you're not building your team, you're building your customer base, right? So let me end with this poem that I love, and it was one of Mary Kay Ash's favorite poems too. It's called The Comfort Zone. It says, I used to have a comfort zone where I knew I couldn't fail. The same 4 walls of busy work were really more like jail. I longed so much to do the things I'd never done before, but I stayed inside my comfort zone and paced the same old floor. I said it didn't matter, that I wasn't doing much. I said I didn't care for things like diamonds, furs, and such. I claimed to be so busy with the things inside my zone, but deep inside I longed for something special of my own. I couldn't let my life go by just watching others win. I held my breath and stepped outside to let the change begin. I took a step, and with new strength I'd never felt before, I kissed my comfort zone goodbye and closed and locked the door. If you are in a comfort zone, afraid to venture out, remember that all winners were at one time filled with doubt. A step or two and words of praise can make your dreams come true. Greet your future with a smile. Success is there for you. Thanks, ladies. Until next time. Stop broadcast.